to honor America on this 4th of July, please stand for our national anthem. And they're off. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful Belmont Park on an absolutely beautiful 4th of July in the year 2022. Sunny skies, the temperature in the 80s, the main track fast, the turf courses are firm, portable rail up at 27 feet on the inner turf, no portable rail on the widener. No carryover in the pick six, and there are no changes to report in today's first race. In the second race, scratch number 1, Prince of Pharaohs. Scratch the 1, Prince of Pharaohs, out of the second. In the third race, we have a rider change on number 1, Irie Spice, to Amin Castillo. Amin Castillo rides the 1, Irie Spice, in the third. No changes in the fourth. In race 5, an equipment change for the 7, Love That Face. She'll run with a bar shoe off. A bar shoe off, number 7, Love That Face, in race 5. Sixth race, scratch the 2, Gandhi Dancing. Scratch number 2, Gandhi Dancing, out of race 6. In the 7th race, scratch number 5, Al Cools. Al Cools, scratched, out of race 7. There are no changes in the 8th. The featured 9th race is the $100,000 Manila Stakes. Scratch number 8, 02035. Scratch the 8, 02035. And in the 10th, scratch 1A, Kaya Rosa, 4, Mo de Morning Grouch, and 5, Boss of All. Scratch 1A, 4, and 5. And a rider change on the 8, Laughter, to Manny Franco. Manny Franco will ride number 8, Laughter, in today's 10th race. Main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. We'll come back at 12:30 to reprise the changes. First race post today is at 1 p.m. Up next, the holiday edition of Talking Horses with Andy Serling and Acacia Clement.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talking Horses. Acacia Clement, Andy Serling. Did I call you Acacia Clement or Courtney yesterday?
You called me Courtney yesterday.
I just realized that when I said that.
You've had a tough time.
I've had a tough time with a lot.
It's okay.
I've had a tough time with a lot of things. It just occurred to me as I said that I probably screwed that up
okay.
yesterday.
It is still, I am legally now Acacia Courtney Clement, so it's not wrong.
I'm not doing the three names. I don't care what you say.
No, it's now my middle name, Courtney. Yeah.
That's officially your middle name?
Officially my middle name.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Is that true with Maggie, too? Because she did change her name.
Legally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she kept her middle
She
name
made it
legally.
easier than you did, actually. We can still
I like
call
to
her
be
Maggie
difficult.
Wolf.
No.
Wolfendale, right. Anyhow, we've got 10 to talk about, so we're going to get right to work here. Head on over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time in the present. We will match for $200 initial deposit. Use the promo code MATCH200. Head to nairabets.com. By the way, we can say happy Independence Day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Happy 4th of July.
There you go.
Everybody.
All right. And it is the 4th of July. It's actually a Monday. Last year we raced on Monday. It was the 5th. Stars and Stripes Challenge. You have till Friday at 5 o'clock to sign up for this. The Stars and Stripes card actually be drawn fairly shortly. We're actually kind of ahead of the case where the final's already out for that. So hopefully by mid-afternoon we'll have that card will be up and you can take a look at the Stars and Stripes card with those two Caesars Turf Triple openers,
Really
the Belmont
excited
Oaks,
for those.
Belmont Derby, and the Suburban, as well as this Victory Ride. So head over to naira.com/contest for that. $3,000 buy-in Saturday on track and online. And finally, we are on from 12:30 to 6. Closing day at Churchill as well, FS2 for all the action. Race number 1. So I'm going to show the start of Ranting's race. And by the way, I love that name.
It's good.
Well, it's also funny, right? Because not a peep, the dam.
Yeah, it's
but
great.
Was there a not a peep that ran?
Well, there have been two
recently?
other foals.
But not not recent. This horse just blew the brake, and I get it. It's a second-time starter. She blew the brake, took a little money first time out. There's nothing really more to see. How do we know that this horse can run?
Well, she was actually the one that I think. Well, Carrie, who was also from the barn, who won that race, had run not a step on the dirt, got to the right surface last time, and was really impressive. I still think Ranting wants a little bit more distance. I thought that she made a nice impression in her first race last time out. The biggest thing for me is that there wasn't any first-time starter that really kind of jumped off the page and said, this one's ready to win right now. And at this point in the game, experience sometimes can be so important. She has gone back to the gate here at Belmont since her last race as well.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with any of that, and I picked her second. But I was going to pick her on top, and I just kept looking and looking and thinking, do I really want to default to this horse? Now,
fair.
obviously, the other horse that's going to take money is Todd Pletcher, who's won 7 of the last 16 races we've run at Belmont. I think he won the stake at Monmouth yesterday, too.
It's incredible.
It is absolutely remarkable. And this horse, who's owned by friends of mine, including Steve Christ, this is not a turf family.
No.
And it just
Actually,
strikes...
a very good dirt family.
Tremendous dirt family. My boy Tate. A lot of good dirt in that family. There's something that smells a little. This horse is debuting on the turf.
And it's something that we kind of talked about too with Todd Pletcher. Certain trainers debuting on the turf, especially with a lack of turf pedigree, you're kind of like, okay, they know more than I do. Maybe they've seen something from this horse. With Todd, sometimes we see horses debuting on the turf, and it just feels like it's because they haven't shown enough to potentially be effective on the main track. Not to mention, this is a 2-year-old. It's really early. It's not like it's taken a while to get to the races or anything like that. Such a strong dirt family. I know that this is a filly that's had the opportunity to work on the turf up at Saratoga. Todd said that about what was the horse that won first time on the turf the other day, wiring the field 2 days ago, the Nipper. Jerry the Nipper.
Yeah, well, Jerry the Nipper,
Jerry
I believe.
the Nipper, who he had raced several times, but he had worked on the turf up at Saratoga.
I believe he was the workmate up in Saratoga of the $2 million horse that won earlier in the day.
the one that won earlier in the day, and Todd said, I really liked what I saw from him on the grass. So that could be the case of Snowy Evening, but to me, it was a red flag.
Todd actually has outstanding numbers with 2-year-old first-time starters in turf sprints. He's 11 for 45 overall with a 204 ROI, and he's 8 for 30 at Naira with a 217 ROI. So he actually has done well in these situations. And listen, I am personally rooting for this horse. My friends own the horse. I want the horse to do well. But I'm betting on Dream on Cara. I can't get away from this family. Dream on Cara was kind of a cool horse. She was 1 for 21 in the turf. She ran on both serves. She never won, but she ran some interesting races.
Yeah.
I feel like she was second in like one of our, like a Gallant Fox type race or something. She's produced 4 turf horse try to turf, 2-1, including Cara's Dreamer. And I thought it was really interesting that she's a central banker.
Yes.
So you're getting a little speed in there with Central Banker. So I have to take – I like this family for Mitch Friedman. And he could get a firster to run in the turf sprint. He should have won up in Saratoga, won at a price last year, got in trouble. So I'm going to take this one on top.
It's interesting. It is a really good family. In general, they're not precocious, though. Even Cara Streamer, who was very good and consistent on the track, it took her a while to break her maiden. That's pretty much everybody in the family except for English Breeze, who was – not trained by Mitch Friedman, and that's the only race that she ever won.
That was Dave Donk, I think.
Yes. Yeah, Dave Donk, and she ran, very credible races all in all. But I was wondering if maybe she'd be ready to go at first asking, but she just might have found the right spot.
We shall see. Race number 2, Prince of Pharaohs came out. Linda had to have a 4th of July scratch. I got to tell you something. I don't have a strong opinion in this race. I mean, Foolish Ghost is supposed to go to the lead, but I don't trust him at all. We both got him second. Bronx Bomber's got to be involved with him. You've taken Big Engine on top. We've taken 2 Ree Rodriguez's horses, different horses.
Both of whom have been beaten a lot of lengths in their last start. Big Engine, though, was just running against tougher in his last 2 races. He has been gelded as well. I'm not sure if that was in response to the 2 disappointing efforts in the last couple of races. He's 7 now to geld at this point. I'm wondering if there were some things behind the scenes maybe that we're not aware of to help. Obviously, he's a horse that has run big races in the past, and it's a big question if he can run back to it today. My hope would be that Foolish Ghost is fresh off the layoff. He does have speed. Maybe we see Bronx Bomber forward and Big Engine with that ultimate equipment change and hopefully able to turn things around today, able to sit the trip.
I'm a Big Engine fan, but I'm afraid he's kind of lost his form.
Yeah,
and one of the things that
absolutely.
bothered me was that he was inside last time. He's a rail runner. And when he's been effective in races, he has made his moves on the rail, as he did 4 starts back when he ran a race that would smother this field. But he's a rail runner, and he didn't even run on the inside last time. I don't know that he projects to get an inside trip necessarily in this race. I'm concerned about him. I won't be shocked if he wins. I won't be shocked if anyone wins. I wouldn't even be shocked if Tafazirans won this race because I don't trust anybody. As far as Massimorado, I don't particularly like him, to be honest. I don't know. Obviously, no one on earth will ever know where he got that 96 Beyer 3 races back.
Yeah.
While he has improved a little for Rudy, every other race he's run has been a few length improvement from his prior form and sort of close to the best race he'd ever run. That race was at least 10 lengths better than any race really he'd ever run. And it's not like Key Point didn't come back and run really well out of it. So I'll never know where that came from. I'm just hoping, last time the inside was good, and maybe he's a day when maybe today he can get a little pace to run at. I don't love him. I'm not going to do a big defense of him. I just didn't trust so many of the others here, but I wouldn't knock or love anybody in here.
Agreed.
Race number 3. We'll go down to Oaklawn and we'll look at Suppressor. Suppressor strikes me as one of the strangest private purchases you'll ever see.
Right.
I'd love to know what possessed Larry Roman and Rob Atras to buy an 0 for 11 horse that's a bit of a money burner for Steve Asmussen.
And
it's just an odd private purchase, right?
It is, and a gelding with a huge pedigree, too. This one's the foal that I'm a Chatterbox.
Wow.
But it's not like it's
Place
a
first
filly
in
and you
the-
say, okay, I can breed this horse with a pedigree or whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe they thought.
He won't be doing any breeding.
No,
I hate to break it to him.
certainly
I
he
hope
will
you don't know,
not.
but-
Those days are behind him. Suppressor, I don't know. I mean, his last couple of races just. It's
He is
disappointing.
better than these horses, though.
He is better, but do you trust him to win?
Of course not. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't. But the thing is, his competition is Inspiration Point, and you do know where the name Inspiration Point comes from, right?
I do not.
Happy Days.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. It's the makeout spot in Happy Days. Happy Days. Happy Days was off the air about 20 years before you were born. And about 30, when I was 30, it started on the air. Inspiration Point will show the last race. This was an embarrassing loss by
Yes,
this horse.
agreed.
I understand Moonshine Bright showed a little bit of something in here, and the rail was probably an edge, but come on.
He was getting out too, and you could argue, well, he was drifting, and that cost him a little bit. But even when Eric Cancel was able to kind of straighten him out and get him back on course, he just didn't really kick on like you would have liked to see either. And he's another one. I mean, he's 0 for 9. So I took
and 3 straight short prices.
Exactly. I took a bit of a goofy horse. Empire Ridge is only run once on the dirt. It's so often, Andy, that we see Mike Maker claim horses and put them on the turf. We don't see very often. I looked up the numbers. First off the claim, turf to dirt, 6 for 28, and then 50% of the time in the money. It is a negative ROI, but this is a horse that was actually favored in his lone dirt start. And I thought watching that race, at least he showed some speed. He was drifting a little bit. He ran, I think, a little bit better than it may appear. And he has the least amount of excuses on dirt as the ones he faces today.
Okay. I'm not knocking any pick in this race. Believe me, I'm not going to take Suppressor to my death here. I didn't love him. It is sort of funny. I mean, I was thinking that Kirk Wyckoff at 3 Diamonds should send the My Purple Haze people a fruit basket for claiming this horse away from him, and then Jordan Wyckoff claimed this horse, Kirk's son. We'll see. Listen, I credit your creativity.
I really tried.
I get it. I'm not exactly in love with my horse either. Race number 4. Race number 4 to me was another race where I really didn't love anybody. You and I both liked Cousteau last time. We'll look at his race. And he's kind of the horse to beat off that race, or one of the 2 horses to beat. But when you get the money at 8 to 1 with a horse, it's very hard to come back with the horse with 2 to 1. So I just didn't want to pick him. And honestly, even though it was a sloppy track, I thought O'Trouble's race last time might have been better. So I picked O'Trouble without a lot of confidence. I don't. Who else am I? I mean, you. Good luck with great workout. I got the worst third, but I am not a fan of this horse.
No, look, he's tough to take as well. As far as Cousteau goes, too, I thought that he ran well. I agree. I preferred O'Trouble's race, which is why I had him. O'Trouble, I thought last time out actually took a lot of the pressure and ran really, really well in that spot. He's the one that I think with the best last out race. Right. Great workout is a reclaim for Linda Rice, and I agree. He is a tough horse to trust. Sometimes he really is, once again, one of those horses that's his own worst enemy and that he has trouble getting out of the gate. But I think it's pretty clear he's not a turf horse. He goes back to the dirt, and this is the surface that he prefers. The fact that she claims him back and lost him for 25, now runs for 35.
Claimed for 35. That was very strange.
It is. It really, really is. And after running on the grass, I thought it was an odd situation. Red Ortiz shows up here. He has some decent races on the go back. I don't trust him to take a step forward in here, but I'm hoping that we could see him kind of run back to some of those races from the winter.
Yeah, I know David likes this horse too, and I told him I thought he was crazy too. But in this field, I've got him third, so it's not like I don't think he can win. Because I mean, it's very hard to make Majestic Tiger, and Forever Wicked is tough to make, and Spectatorless, speed or not, kind of tough to like him. But we'll see what happens in race number 4, kicking off the pick 6 in race number 5. Race number 5 is another race where form is kind of at a premium, and we'll show Trinity Titoli and Handle the Truth running 2nd and 4th last time, and I have no argument that Trinity Titoli is the horse to beat. But she's going to be a short price. She's got to get 7 furlongs. You would think that Love That Face will at least be on her flank in here because she's got speed. And I don't know about you. I don't want to pick Trinity Titoli on top in here. So I went fishing around for somebody else.
I did the same. I thought Trinity Titoli last time out, she couldn't actually even clear. She has speed, which is her best weapon, and she couldn't clear Candy Monet that day. She was lugging in a little bit. She was getting a little leg weary, which makes me concerned about potentially getting the 7/8 with the presence of Love That Face in here. So
and she's going to be a super short price.
She is. I went to the inside with the one Simple Sugar, who I thought Game Theory probably ran the better race last time out, finishing 2nd as well. But I thought Simple Sugar, who was one that could potentially sit that stalking trip just off of those, has been knocking on the door. Typically don't love horses that aren't able to seal the deal, but this is that type of race.
Well, this is I can't seal the deal purse.
Exactly. This is come one, come all. You can't win a race, come here and try to get your picture taken.
Right. This is the nerds at a frat party field. And Simple Sugar gets a switch to Trevor McCarthy.
Yes.
So I saw that as well, and I actually considered picking that horse. I was glad I didn't when I saw that you picked her just to have somebody else. But as far as Gagliano, I was talking about this horse with David Aragona the other night, and she is a tough horse to take. A 1 for 34 with 2 seconds. I don't disagree. her form actually isn't that bad recently if you start to take it apart. You know, you look at the Simple Sugar race on May 29th. She was out in the middle of the racetrack in that day, and I wonder if a mile is a little bit of a stretch for her. She actually ran pretty well in the April 22nd race because the rail was very strong that day, and she was outside, so I actually thought she ran respectably in that effort. And believe me, I don't love her, but I'm just looking for somebody else in here at a bit of a price, and I think when you take her form apart, she fits in this race well enough that I can take her. And listen, I think we both realize that Trina Tolli is the horse to beat, and we won't be surprised if she wins. But, man, she's tough to take in the even money range.
She is, for sure. And Gagliano, when was her win? What year was it?
Now, I'm sure she's not named for him. But because it's Gagliano Stable
Right,
has him,
right,
but I
right.
always think of Jim Gagliano.
Absolutely,
of course,
I do
Jockey
too.
Club, and
I do too.
I always feel like sending him like an email and saying, "Hey, you're the one for 34 horse with your name.
Your namesake is running in
today."
here.
I hope that Jim notices this horse's record. Anyhow, that does the first five. We'll come back with the late pick five after a quick break.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Keisha Clement, Andy Serling. We're talking about the trouble of naming horses for family members and friends. Nick Zito named a horse after my niece. I brought her to the Oklahoma one morning, and he was working a horse that he owned, and he said, "This horse is kind of okay, I like her." And I said, "What's her name?" And he said, "Oh, she doesn't have a name yet." And then he looked at my niece named Shoshana. He said, "Oh, you have a really pretty name. I'm going to name the horse after you." So my mom came out to see the horse when it ran first time. She was not around. And I said to my mom, be careful, this horse may. Oof. And I think she beat one horse or something.
No.
But she won the next time she ran at Parks, actually.
That win's a win.
Yeah. So
My
mom did not go to Parks the next race.
It's a lot of pressure.
So race number 6. I copped out in race number 6. Though he's not the morning line favorite, I'm not sure. Well, Show Bus and Shout's last race, I know it was a moderate pace, but I don't know. I just thought he was the best turf sprinter in here.
He ran a great race that day.
I didn't have some clever idea, and I don't trust the horse that you picked in this race, though we'll talk about him. Though obviously he can win. His best race are good, but I don't know what's wrong with Bust and Shout. He seems to show up, so I just picked him. I don't have anything clever to say.
I picked him second. I think he makes a lot of sense. His race last time out was good. He's freshened up a little since then. We haven't seen him since April 21st, but he does come back in here off the back of that effort. He is facing the open first level allowance in here after winning the 2 other than New York bred. So he's coming in off of a big effort in that spot. Ranger Fox, I've been waiting to see go back to sprinting, which is what he gets to do today, and I really think those blinkers are going to help. He's a quirky horse. He's one that really has a lot of trouble in the gait. Remember, they used to have to load him with a blindfold, and we'll see what he does coming back here as a 4-year-old, but he's obviously run some good races in the past.
We'll show one of them. We'll show his maiden win from July 10th
His maiden win going 7 furlongs, I think, suits him. The turf is what he wants, and I think those blinkers, hopefully some more maturity as well. I'm sure that John Terranova is well aware of all the quirks, and it's something they've been working on. You can even see him drifting a little bit there in that maiden win.
Yeah, he was in a couple of crazy spots his last 2 races. I won't disagree with that, and I think he's a better sprinter. I must have forgotten to send in the trainer stats. I obviously did, because I had a specific trainer stat for this horse I wanted to send in, and I must have gotten distracted and for whatever reason not sent them. But John Terranova, 120 days to 240 days layoffs in the turf, is 0 for 18 with 6 hitting the board, and with sprinters he's 0 for 8 with 3 hitting the board. That scared me a little bit, because what it says, it's not. I think John and Tanya Terranova are terrific trainers, and it's sort of a Clement stat. It's a Tom Morley stat. Their horses often need a race off a layoff, so that's what concerned me about this horse, to be honest.
No, it's fair.
And I don't disagree with you. I actually do think he's very, very good if he can get his act together, and he has been in a lot of the wrong spots. And the Allied forces that was just a better field. But he's quick and he can win. I think Subsidized can win this race. I know he had a perfect trip 2 back and he beat lesser horses. You know, Stanhope is not what these are, but he didn't run that badly behind Big Everest last time, and I think he's logical. I don't trust Ranger Fox off the layoff. That's my real problem with him.
That's fair. I think that he is potentially the best horse in here, but the question is mentally and physically, is he ready off the layoff as well? I actually thought, just a quick mention, I put him fourth, but the 6 Atross, first time for Brad Cox. I know he finally put everything together to win last time. It was a good race, and I'm curious to see what he does staying here in the U.S. And sticking with coming to Brad Cox for the first time. He's a little bit of the wild card in this spot.
I have a question. Why'd you call it Atross and you don't call it Atras?
Well, watching the last couple of races, well, no, because it's by a Stern, and it's a Stern and a Tross.
So maybe Rob's name is Atross.
Maybe.
And we're all getting it wrong.
Should we ask him?
We have to ask
Yeah,
this. You
we
have
should
to
ask him.
I just saw this horse and I was thinking, and you said that, I was wondering what the pronunciation was as well. I'll tell you, this horse is the wild card. I don't agree. And Brad Cox, it's a private purchase. It's an odd private purchase, right?
It is.
You don't know what they paid. The horse ran second last time, came back and ran 18 buyer points worth. Was the first-time star. The third horse, 12 buyer points worth. The race kind of collapsed. I don't know if this horse is just good enough to compete, but it is an interesting horse off the private purchase and switch to Brad. Race number 7. Race number 7 is a very, very strong race. You and I are going to horses out of the same race. In fact, we went to the same horse. But there's a lot going on, I think, in here. And we'll start with the race 2 back that Masquerade Esquire ran, and a couple things. When he came back off the claim for Linda, he was just completely dead in the board, and he didn't run a step. He ran terrific here. I know I'm not picking Artemis City Limits because he never wins, and he's got other speed to deal with here.
His last 9 races in the money.
I want nothing to do with him. Why did you take Fauci out of this race? I'm curious, because I like him too.
I like him. Well, his race 2 starts back, I thought he looked uncomfortable in between horses late. He's the one horse that's kind of backing off there. They took the blinkers off in his next spot, and I don't know if this is the case, but I'm wondering if they took the blinkers off to kind of allow him to see his competition a little bit too. Also didn't think that he looked fit back in May. And he looked a little bit better last time out. Yes and Yes was absolutely terrific, and it's been on a tear in there. I also don't think he's the type of horse that handles a turf with some give in it. The blinkers go back on. He's third off the layoff. He should be fit now. And if he runs back to that race 2 starts back, hopefully getting a little bit of a better trip, I think he's the one that's going to pick up some pieces, be in that catbird seat.
I also wondered if Shorter was better.
I agree. Yeah,
I thought 6 way better. You look at that race, the Artemis City Limits race. Everybody was worried about Artemis City Limits, except for the winner, because he can close in slow paces. And I thought he made a middle move in there because I'm not blaming Jose, but I thought that he ran very well when you consider the dynamics of the race and the way he had to be ridden. And I thought maybe he could sit back a little better. I was thinking more about the distance. I thought he was interesting, but there are other horses in here. I mean, I wanted to show Battle Station's race in the King Leatherberry, just so that we could mention King Leatherberry in the show.
Love it.
I know he got a total suck-up rail trip to run third, and I don't totally trust him. But True Valor, who won the race, came back and finished third in the Jaipur. Grateful Bread is a very, very solid.
Great name, by the way.
Greatest name. I love that name. He won a turf sprint at Colonial on a dark day in Saratoga last year where he should have paid like $280, and I think he paid like $6 or $7. And he just couldn't lose. Those are pretty good horses he was running against. So I threw him in somewhere. Maybe I had him 5th or something. I mean, even Tiger Blood, the 8. I mean, I don't know if he wants to go 6 furlongs, but this horse has run some serious races.
I'm a big fan of this horse. I've seen him run a lot.
He has.
He's off of a big layoff. He hasn't run in 11 months. I thought it was interesting too. Steve Glaceris claimed him back. He went kind of on a tear with this horse back in 2020. He was running him in Gulfstream, had a lot of success sprinting on the turf. He looks a very, very firm turf, and he has some big races against some really nice horses, but a while ago.
He's 19 for 57.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And he's won on the
11
turf. He's won on the dirt.
Yeah.
I mean, he's won a third of his races with 11 seconds. I mean,
cool
if he's
horse.
just a cool horse. Yeah. And even Bally Dooley, and I know David likes this horse, because he is, when Eric Cancel was aggressive with this horse, he was terrific.
Yep.
And he's got to beat the speed, and Joel's got to go with him. The problem I have is he's never beaten horses this good.
No. Last time out, he faced the best field, and he was very disappointing. But he's a horse that I thought Yes, he broke his maiden for 20. You wonder how's he going to do off of the layoff, of course. Is he going to need a race, as a conversation that we often
Michelle
have.
has good numbers off layoffs. Her numbers at turf horse off layoffs are fine.
For sure. And Joel Rosario shows up here. He has ability. The speed was my question in here, too, because you do have Artemis City Limits. And Artemis City Limits, for those who forget, was the one that closed the door on Yes and Yes last time out. But
I don't know how Irad wasn't suspended for that, to be honest with you. I'm shocked by that, at least I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I imagine John Velasquez wasn't happy either.
No.
Race number 8. This is a maiden race. So precursory. We'll show the start last time. I guess she's the horse to beat, but I kind of want to try to beat her. I don't know.
I ended up picking her in here, and I don't love her. She broke a lot better last time, which that was one thing that I appreciated. She was kind of in the center of the track. I thought that she really just ran in place late and flattened out. The blinkers come on in here today. Though she's by Cantharos, I think that she is one who appreciates a little bit more ground, showed improvement out of the gate as she was really kind of broke in her debut, was definitely very, very green. She isn't a special Juddmonte homebred, you would think. Who knows? Maybe she's improving. But with the blinkers going on and now having a better race under her belt, I thought this could be the right spot. I didn't trust either of the Todd Pletcher horses, and I really didn't like Top Picker's last race either.
I didn't either, and I was surprised David liked this horse, and I respect his opinion, but I didn't like that horse's last race either. I wonder if Demand and Respect is finally getting on a dry track, but has also been on an unsealed track and hasn't done a lot of running in any of her races. I like Quota Bell, who's supposed to be the speed. You got to imagine Louis is gonna go in this race, and this horse didn't take much money last time, was chasing outside. This race really kind of collapsed. The horse who was a speed was a first-time starter for John Kimmel. I had actually bet on. It looked to be cruising along and just absolutely stopped.
Yeah.
So I thought this horse was a little against the dynamics, and it was odd that Todd would stretch out a horse from 6 furlongs to a mile that it's fallen apart going 6 furlongs. So I thought that suggested to me that Todd must think this horse's race is not truly indicative. Now, in fairness, this horse took no money first time out, which is never a great sign. But I thought maybe she could get the lead today and just wire the field. So I took her. I don't love her. I know Precursory is the horse to beat in this race. I just wanted to pick somebody against her. And of the 2 Todd horses, I much preferred Portobello because, don't overlook me, may have finished ahead of her, but she really didn't do any running in that race.
She kind of just ran in place, really, the whole time. And she is one that has taken money in both of her starts and hasn't shown anything.
She's also a West Point horse, and the West Point horses tend to get bet pretty strongly in her races. This is an odd race. I'll be honest. Dolce Sarah's a little tough to make, though she finished at a picker. The others, I'm not going to fall on my share any of these horses win, and Precursor might just be better than these horses and might just beat them. So the Manila Camp, a fun race, actually, for a change on these stakes. So I always loved Bricks and Mortar's effort in this race. It's worth watching. It's 2017. If you want to go to YouTube and watch it, it's an amazing win. And I was saying to Greg, if somebody had said after he won that race that he's going to be the horse of the year eventually, I don't think he would have believed it. He'll probably be the only Manila winner that's ever the horse of the year.
Yeah, very true. Well, it's a key race.
I love the flat mile races, to be honest here. The Widener Mile, I think they're really good races. Annapolis, I know you and I both are taking horses to beat him, but I don't think, I can't speak for you, but here's his race in the bog at Penn National. And I know he, for Polio Company, who's been a little disappointing this year, I still think he's way the horse to beat in this race.
I agree. I mean, he was so good as a 2-year-old. And I really think that this Penn Mile, you mentioned the turf condition. You mentioned what he was up against in here. Wow, What a Summer was 80-1. How much can you really put stock into that race? And he was a little bit erratic. He was off of the layoff. It was his first start as a 3-year-old. He's a horse I think has a lot of talent. It'll be fun to see him maybe today kind of with a fair chance and see how he does progressing as a 3-year-old. He's the one to beat, and he really could kind of sit that Garden Trip as well.
So what is your story on coinage?
I've always had a soft spot for this horse. It comes out of the American turf, and I know, as we've kind of discussed with that turf course and that race at Churchill, the horses down on the inside had the tougher time. He was really hard to handle. He didn't break well. He rushed up on the outside under Florent Giroux.
You can pitch anybody from that. You can pitch anybody's race.
You can pitch anybody from there. He just had a nightmare of a trip. And then at the end of the race, he did kind of end up towards the inside, and he was really spinning his wheels. You could really see it. But he's a horse that I've actually always liked. He did win the Palm Beach from a little bit of a stalking spot. He was a little hard to handle that day, too.
He
but
was
Luis
lucky to
Saez,
beat main event.
That's true.
The main
He's
event's
a very
pretty good.
nice horse.
Main event's pretty good.
Just won the Kent
Fair,
this
right.
weekend, too. But this is a horse that I like him on the turf. He has speed. He can kind of run his race, and I like that Luis Saez has ridden him before.
It'll be a big price. I've never been. I bet him actually when he won the With Anticipation because he was the lone speed.
Yeah.
And I didn't like limited liability, so that worked out. But I've never loved him. But listen, I'm not knocking horses at prices in here. Ready to Perform. I don't know for sure that he's good enough, but I actually thought he ran very well in this race because he was 2 wide in the first turn, 2 to 3 wide in the second turn, sort of rushed into the race. The winner got an unbelievable trip and ride. From post 10, he got the field spread because they were moving up front. He got over the fence. He slipped up inside of this horse, and Ready to Perform was the better horse, and the race came up fast. And this is a horse that had run okay as a 2-year-old. So it's not like he had no form to go back to, and he improved a lot in his first start as a 3-year-old. He didn't win. He gets Joel, though, but he should have won. He ran the best race. So I like Ready to Perform in this race, and I don't have any illusions that being Annapolis will be easy. The horse that I hope I'm wrong about, because I always like to see Tony Dutrow do well, but I don't like Boston Tea Party. I get Tony wanting to take a shot. This horse broke his maiden at 7 on the Widener. We'll take a look at it. And he was super impressive.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. This is a giant step up for a second-time starter.
We saw the third place finisher on Botte come back the other day and kind of an even effort in that spot. I wonder about the stretch out and distance as well. It's funny, the Dam was actually more of a dirt sprinter. He did pull away really impressively.
He was good in this
also
race.
something to be said, and I loved this effort. I thought he ran huge. But there's also something to be said of horses that win so impressively first time out, and you wonder, do they regress in their second start as well, especially when they're facing so much better company. That's why it's so impressive when horses win first time out, then come right back into a stake and continue on the run, because it's not an easy thing to do.
Winning off of maiden wins first time out is one of the hardest things in racing to do. If you look at PPs like we do and you search through trainers' records with second-time stars that won their debuts, and the best trainers in the game have lousy numbers in these stats, and it's not, you know, it's what's interesting is how well Todd Pletcher has done over the years with it. Is a very, very hard thing to do. Now, Todd's also had a lot of horses that won first time that didn't go on to do anything, and he'd be the first to say that, but it's a very hard thing to do, to get firsters. I mean, how many times do you see them look brilliant first time out and they come back and they're just not any good? Double Clutch interests me. He's my goofy horse in here. Growth Capital came back and improved his figure 6 points out of that race and ran well to do it. He lost, but he ran better than he'd been running. He was setting a quick pace. Chasing the Crown improved 8 points in that race at Churchill Downs in a subsequent start. This horse, who is a half to Gear Jockey, Gear Jockey Double Clutch. I know Calumet will run any stake, and I know this horse is coming out of a maiden. Like the difference is the horse is going to be a much bigger price.
And he did win at a mile.
He won at a mile, around 2 turns. I actually think that Double Clutch is a good horse. I don't know that he's going to win here, but I think he's pretty good, this horse.
I actually looked at him for a while because I saw his first race. I saw him in his debut. And somehow La Machina was a horse that managed to hold on down the inside.
Because Growth Capital has a lot of hang in him.
Exactly, has a lot of hang. But that horse was so much more forward. This horse completely made the break and really was the only one that was really making up ground that day. And I had actually noted down at a big price that he was a horse that I wanted to watch moving forward. So it'll be fun to see what he can do in here today. He will be a big price. He's got the pedigree to be a good one.
I actually thought about throwing him on top as just to take a shot with him. I also loved Optimizer. He was a cool horse.
Yeah, very.
Race number 10. So there's no form to go on race number 10, and the horse who was the most formful, Scratch.
Right.
The 4, Mo the Morning Grouch.
Grouch.
I like that, actually. That's
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Jerry Brown horse.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's named for Jerry.
Are you just looking for some rent control
you
like
and
a
I
lot
went
of other
in
New Yorkers?
opposite direction. I like Jerry a lot. I have great respect for Jerry. So we went in opposite directions. I want you to say why you picked Laffer, and I'll tell you afterwards why I'm going to use that horse.
Laughter has been a huge price in both of his starts. Did actually show, or both of her starts, excuse me. She did actually show a little bit of early interest last time out. She wasn't too far off of it. I think the cutback in distance will suit. It's a drop in class versus some of the others that have been at this level before. Manny Franco's going to take the call. I'm certainly not in love with her. I just felt like it's really hard. I just felt like she was kind of the least exposed as of yet, and was one that was wide, but maybe could have a little bit of early foot.
I'm always giving wise guy Roy Lehrman's horses a second look because Roy knows how to get the money.
For sure.
Now, listen, I don't know if this horse can run either, but I thought in this field this horse was extremely interesting dropping down. And the drop downs in the maiden in the New York bred races aren't as severe. I liked Rent Control last time after the horse ran off with Gary Richards 2 back. And I thought got a little bit lost early after breaking steps slowly. I'm hoping that Eric can get this horse a little bit close. I mean, I understand it's a problem because you're worried the horse will run off the way that she did the time before. So I get that, but she's got to be more forward. I bet her last time. She ran okay. I'm going to give her one more chance, but I am using the 8 as well. And I'm glad I didn't go 8-9 because I'd rather you and I have different picks. I mean, Dorothy's the boss. I thought in some ways is the most logical horse here because she really did improve in her first turf race. She didn't run badly. She broke about 3/4 of a length to a length slow. She picks up Trevor for this race. I think she's kind of the horse to beat. Is that fair?
She is, yeah. I mean, look, she ran a 57 by her speed figure in that debut, which certainly makes her the horse to beat. The blinkers go back on, too. She's never run on the grass with the blinkers on. We'll see as she has been freshened up since April. It was definitely a better effort than her dirt efforts were.
And listen, maybe Christophe will win with the first or hope for the best, which is a name. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence when you name a horse hope for the best.
I know. You know, it's interesting, and I'm sure you saw this too. And Penny Hallman's Mary Legs Farms have had some really nice runners and being effective on the New York turf course this year. This filly's Half to Timeless Journey, who was pretty good on the turf, is by Verrazano.
Not bad there on the dirt either. Actually ran okay on the dirt in some sloppy races.
It's a pretty strong family, so we'll see if this one's ready at first asking.
It's interesting that they're running 6 furlongs because Timeless Journey is kind of a plotter in those races. And hope for the best. It's like you feel like this name there should be. She's not really that good, but
we're hoping for the best.
She's kind of slow, but we'll see. Maybe the name's probably from something else, but it is a funny name for a horse.
Penny is a really, really nice person. Always root for her.
All right, it's been a pleasure. I will see you while you're reporting later. You're on for about 5 hours of the 5.5-hour show, so you're putting in a full day. And Greg and I will be on the late show. You'll be hosting early. And Johnny's coming up with the replies and scratches and changes. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. We will match with $200 initial deposit. Use the promo code MATCH200. Do it for hobby. If you don't do it for us, do it for hobby. And we have the Stars and Stripes Challenge, $3,000 buy-in. We'll seed the pool with $5,000. That's this coming Saturday. That card will be drawn later today, fairly shortly, I hope. And you can check that one out. Get to work on it early and play the contest. You'll be ready. Go to naira.com/challenge. And also the show, 12:30 to 6, we said. Thank you for filling in for Anthony. Did a fine job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And I will catch you later.
Looking forward to it.
And we're done, and Johnny's up next.